The film opens by introducing 11 players who are about to take part in a deadly version of the Mafia game. The winner will walk away with an enormous amount of money, relying only on intelligence, logic, and psychological skill. Every player is willing to do whatever it takes to survive. The story is set in Moscow in the year 2072, where the game master Victor officially launches season 57 of a televised game show called the Mafia. Before the game begins, Victor lays out the rules. 11 players sit facing each other inside a high-tech room. 9 of them are civilians, while 2 are secretly members of the Mafia, just like in the classic Mafia game. When night falls, the Mafia chooses one person to eliminate. When morning comes, the remaining players discuss and vote on who they believe is part of the Mafia. The player with the most votes is eliminated. The game is about to start. Welcome to Mafia, the game of survival. The civilians win if they manage to eliminate both Mafia members. The Mafia wins by pretending to be civilians and surviving until the end. If the final round comes down to 1 civilian and 1 Mafia member, the Mafia automatically wins. The grand prize is 1 billion Russian rubles. But there is a terrifying twist. Eliminated players do not simply lose the game, they are executed in a way that directly reflects their greatest fear. Once the rules are explained, each participant receives a barcode revealing their role as either civilian or Mafia. As the game begins, Victor introduces the players one by one. The first is Luca, an 85-year-old billionaire who built his fortune through gambling. He sees this game as the final gamble of his life. Luca has 4 grandchildren who are eagerly waiting for his death to claim his inheritance. However, his will states that if he dies inside the Mafia game, they receive nothing. Next is Ilya, a 38-year-old engineer diagnosed with incurable thyroid cancer with only months left to live. Ilya fears dying without leaving enough money to support his family. That fear drives him to join the game. His wife tries to stop him, but Ilya insists on risking his life to secure a better future for her and their children. The next players introduced are 2 prisoners, Yuri and Evan. Yuri is portrayed as a brutal man seeking revenge against those who sent him to prison. Evan, on the other hand, is a teenage boy who claims he was framed for crimes he never committed. Instead of money, both are promised freedom if they win the game. After them comes Konstantin, a psychic who works as a consultant. Then there is Maria, a famous ballerina who chooses to join the game. She is followed by Peter, Maria's devoted fan who would do anything for her. The 8th participant is Vladimir, a former military officer. He is followed by Larissa, an elegant woman with a composed exterior. Next is Kirill, a man who signs up simply to prove to his friends that he is brave enough to play. The final participant is Katya, a woman driven by her desire to uncover the truth about her past. Once the introductions are over, the game officially begins. Every player immediately tries to convince the others that they are innocent civilians. Not long after, a 10-minute countdown appears above them. Within that limited time, Victor instructs the group to eliminate 1 player they suspect to be part of the Mafia. As the timer starts ticking, families and friends watch anxiously on television, fearing for the lives of the people they love. Maria urges everyone to use the short time wisely. She asks for Konstantin's opinion, but he chooses to stay neutral in the first round. Taking the lead, Maria openly suspects Kirill of being Mafia, and Peter quickly supports her claim. At the same time, Yuri recognizes Maria as a ballerina he once saw on television while he was in prison. He also recognizes Peter and tells the others that the 2 appear to be lovers. The accusation hits Maria hard, and emotions quickly rise. It is revealed that Maria is a famous 24-year-old ballerina. Peter is indeed her biggest fan. After a rainy day accident severely damaged her leg, Maria's dancing career was destroyed. Hoping to reclaim her future, she chose to undergo surgery for a synthetic leg, but the cost of the prosthetic and the operation was extremely high. That was when she came across an advertisement for the Mafia game and decided to join. Peter signed up soon after learning that Maria would be participating. Even so, Kirill remains doubtful about their relationship and questions whether Peter truly knows Maria outside the game. Peter confirms that he does know her, but insists they are not working together. Feeling insulted, Maria lashes out at Peter, exhausted from being constantly followed by him. As suspicion grows that Maria and Peter are secretly working together, Maria becomes the primary target for elimination, and the players begin to cast their votes. Peter tries to persuade the others to vote for him instead. However, the results come in with Maria receiving 6 votes. The decision immediately sends her into panic. She insists that she is not Mafia, which is confirmed when Victor reveals that Maria is in fact a civilian. Accepting her fate, Maria resigns herself to what comes next. Her chair locks into place and slowly lifts her into a massive orb suspended above the group. Peter attempts to break free and save her, but his effort fails. Inside the orb, Maria quickly loses consciousness. When she awakens, she finds herself in a stormy forest at night. Because of her past accident, she developed a deep fear of rain and lightning. She runs through the woods as flashes of lightning seem to chase her relentlessly. Eventually, she reaches the edge of a cliff. With no other option, she jumps. In midair, lightning strikes her body, ending her life in a horrifying nightmare. At the same time, Maria's physical body shatters and disappears inside the orb. The game then continues as Victor announces that the first night has officially begun. A drone flies over the players, signaling that the Mafia is choosing their first victim. Soon after, the lights turn back on, marking the arrival of a new day. Victor reveals that Yuri was eliminated by the Mafia during the night. As Yuri is taken toward the orb, he curses everyone and swears revenge. His threats have no impact on the game. Victor calmly explains that Yuri's death had been carefully prepared 2 weeks earlier. Before the game ever began, Yuri went through a psychological evaluation and was asked about his greatest fear. According to his own claim, he feared nothing and no one, not even death itself. The only thing he refused to accept was dying in a meaningless way among people he considered foolish. Once inside the orb, Yuri finds himself in a coliseum. Two opponents appear before him as a crowd erupts with excitement. Without hesitation, they attack him mercilessly. It does not take long for Yuri to turn the fight around. Seeing this, his former prison mates begin cheering him on. Still, new opponents keep appearing as if they will never run out. Yuri continues fighting until no enemies remain. He celebrates, believing he has beaten the game. But just as victory seems certain, he slips backward, his neck is pierced, and his life ends instantly. Back in the game room, Victor informs the group that it is time to resume identifying the Mafia. This time, the discussion period will shrink with every voting round. For this round, they are given only 8 minutes. Constantine opens the discussion by claiming he knows exactly who the Mafia is. He explains that he has possessed psychic abilities since childhood and is widely known as a dark messenger who predicts the future during moments of crisis. It is also revealed that Constantine's only fear is dying of old age. Constantine then accuses Peter of being Mafia. Peter pushes back, believing that if Constantine truly knew the truth, he would not have allowed Maria to die. Suspicion shifts as Constantine is accused of being driven purely by money and willing to sacrifice civilians to reach his goal. Because of this mindset, Peter begins to see Constantine as the true Mafia. The vote begins with Peter and Constantine as the main suspects. When the results are announced, Constantine receives 3 votes, while Peter receives 6. Peter shows no fear at all, having already accepted death so he can reunite with Maria. Once it is revealed that Peter is a civilian, he is taken into the orb. Inside, Peter wakes up in the middle of the ocean, a reflection of his deep fear of water. He struggles to paddle toward land, but a sudden hole forms in his boat. As he tries to block it, his hand is badly injured. Things spiral out of control when sharks are drawn to the smell of blood. Peter manages to stab one of them with a broken paddle, but the blood only attracts more sharks, which swarm and attack him. Taking advantage of the chaos, he tries to swim away. Just as he is about to reach land, the island collapses and disappears. Peter is ultimately torn apart by the sharks, but he dies with a smile, having seen Maria one last time before the end. Meanwhile, Victor gives the players another chance to identify the Mafia before the next night arrives. This time, they have only 6 minutes to discuss. As the new round begins, Vladimir reveals that Evan was once blamed for the deaths of 2 friends after their car crashed into a wall during a drunk driving incident. The truth, however, is that Evan was not the one behind the wheel. Another friend was driving that night. Evan survived the crash after being rescued by a woman. His luck ran out when the parents of his friend accused Evan instead, choosing to protect their own child. Evan was framed for 2 murders and faced the terrifying possibility of spending his life in prison. He insists on his innocence. explaining that he was made a scapegoat. Hearing this, Larissa scolds Vladimir for constantly targeting Evan. Evan thanks the woman who once saved him and realizes that her face feels familiar, but she quickly dismisses the idea as time moves on. Not long after, Vladimir pushes everyone to move straight into voting. His cold and detached attitude backfires, drawing suspicion toward himself. In the end, Vladimir receives the most votes. He is a 45-year-old former military officer who joined the Mafia game to decide whether he even deserves to live. This stems from a failed mission that led to the deaths of young soldiers under his command. Since that tragedy, Vladimir has lived in deep depression and surrendered his fate to the game.
Владимир – мирный житель.
Inside the orb, he relives the most horrifying moment of his life, losing his soldiers once again. He desperately tries to warn and save them, but every attempt fails.
Сокол, это засада, слышишь? Сокол на крыше! Сокол!
The nightmare ends when Vladimir accepts his death with honor, just as a soldier would. Back in the game room, it is revealed that Vladimir was a civilian, meaning both Mafia members are still hidden. Night falls once more, and the Mafia chooses Larissa as their next victim. Though she appears elegant and composed on the outside, Larissa is actually an alcoholic. Her addiction cost her both her family and her career. While she once considered ending her life, she never found the courage to do so, until the night she witnessed a tragic accident. It is revealed that Larissa was the woman who saved Evan during that crash. However, the parents of Evan's friend forced her to give false testimony in court to protect their own child. With this truth exposed, Evan finally feels relieved, knowing his name has been cleared. He forgives Larissa for what happened in the past. Hearing this, Larissa accepts her fate with peace. Because of her fear of heights, she meets her end in a fatal plane crash.
Мирный житель.
The game pushes forward, and Victor gives the players only 4 minutes to discuss and make a decision. With just 6 people left, every single vote now carries enormous weight. Constantine calmly suggests that Evan should be the one eliminated. Shortly after, he delivers a strange and cryptic message to Katya, urging her to jump beyond her fears and search for a triangular light as a way out. Katya is left confused, feeling that Constantine's prediction only makes things harder to understand. Kirill shifts the focus back to the game and openly states that he does not trust Constantine. Ilya disagrees, believing Constantine is far more reliable than Evan. He also points out that Kirill and Katya appear to have been working together since the beginning, as they consistently vote the same way in every round. Constantine cuts the discussion short and insists they vote for Evan immediately. Evan, in turn, claims that Ilya is actually one of the Mafia. With tensions high, all 6 players cast their votes. Evan receives 3 votes from Constantine, Luka, and Ilya. Constantine gets 2 votes from Kirill and Katya. Evan sticks to his belief and votes for Ilya. Even though Evan has the most votes, Victor explains that 3 is not enough to form a majority among 6 players. To be eliminated in this round, someone must receive at least 4 votes. As a result, the vote is repeated with only 3 suspects remaining: Evan, Constantine, and Ilya. All 3 stand firm in their choices. Then Luka changes his vote from Evan to Constantine. This gives Constantine 3 votes, while Ilya receives 2. In a shocking move, Constantine casts the final vote for himself. He is eliminated and revealed to be one of the Mafia. Inside the orb, Constantine dies of old age.
Мы так не договаривались.
As he passes, he laughs, believing he has successfully deceived the game master. It is revealed that dying of old age was not his greatest fear, but his deepest desire.
Умереть, стариков.
Victor, however, remains completely unfazed. Night falls again, and this time Evan becomes the Mafia's next victim. Katya feels deep sympathy for him, but Evan is focused on one thing: knowing his name has been cleared before his death. The moment turns deeply emotional as Evan thinks about his mother, who is watching the game from home. He is then taken into the orb, where he finds himself back in prison, imagining his mother standing by the sea, before he is ultimately shot and killed.
Привет, ма.
As the game continues, Luca points out that with only 4 players left, at least 3 of them must agree in order to eliminate someone. At that point, Ilya tells Luca that Kirill and Katya may be a couple. It is revealed that Kirill did know Katya outside the game shortly after she signed up. Even though they had only just met, Katya quickly felt comfortable with him. When questioned by Luca, Kirill admits he met Katya the night before, but never expected her to become a participant as well. Eventually, the discussion time runs out, and the 4 remaining players fail to reach a decision. Because of this, the game system automatically selects one player at random to be eliminated. The unlucky choice is Katya, who is revealed to be a civilian. As she is about to be taken into the orb, Kirill breaks free from his chair and grabs her hand, refusing to let go. Inside the orb, Kirill and Katya find themselves standing on a fragile glass floor. After waiting for the right moment, Kirill runs toward Katya and they leap together. They land in a vast desert, where a triangular beam of light shines from a rocky mountain in the distance. It is then that they realize Konstantin's earlier words were true. The jump and the triangular light are both part of Katya's fear. Remembering that the triangular light represents an escape, they move toward it. Another fear soon emerges as snakes begin chasing them. They manage to escape, only to come face to face with a massive monster waiting ahead. This creature is revealed to be Kirill's greatest fear. Not wanting to lose Katya, Kirill has her hide while he faces the monster alone. During the fight, Kirill realizes that the creature is afraid of light. He notices a triangular glass pendant hanging around the monster's neck. Kirill manages to seize the pendant and uses it to reflect light toward the monster, ultimately destroying it. Afterward, Kirill and Katya discover a stone formation shaped like a face, with eye sockets designed to hold the triangular pendant. Once the pendant is placed, a distant building appears. They rush toward it, only to realize it is the orphanage where Katya grew up. There, Katya witnesses her mother handing her over to another woman. Beneath all her fears, Katya's deepest fear is finally revealed, learning why her parents abandoned her. As her emotions overwhelm her, Kirill comforts her and helps her understand that what she is seeing is not real. He promises that they will search for the truth together. Soon the world around them begins to collapse and fade away. They are then confronted directly by the game master. Victor reveals that Konstantin was not only a Mafia member, but also his employee. By using Kirill and Katya, Konstantin intended to destroy the game by proving to the public that the system could be beaten. Victor makes it clear that Konstantin has failed. At that moment, Victor also shows them that they are still inside the orb. Everything they experienced was another illusion he created so he could speak with them. Victor explains that he is not angry about their success. Instead, he thanks them, as their love story has become incredibly compelling entertainment for the audience. Because of this, the ratings for Season 57 of the Mafia game soar dramatically. For that reason, Victor decides to let Kirill and Katya live, with a warning that they must never attempt to destroy the game again. Back in the game room, with only one civilian and one Mafia remaining, the Mafia is automatically declared the winner. Ilya, revealed as the final Mafia member, returns to his family. He feels calm knowing that when he eventually dies, his wife and 2 children will have enough money to start a new life. 10 months later, Ilya passes away. Elsewhere, Luca removes his grandchildren from his list of heirs and donates his entire fortune to the orphanage where Katya was raised. Evan's mother receives flowers from anonymous senders every day as a tribute to her son. Kirill and Katya are later seen visiting Konstantin's grave, thanking him for saving their lives. Katya realizes that even though they escaped the game master has not truly been defeated. Kirill understands the same truth, that the game is far from over. The film ends with Kirill signing up once again for the next Mafia game.